Over the years, there has been a growing perception that the fragmentation of our university, and that fragmentation has been described and measured in different ways, the levels of faculties, registries, bursaries, institutions, and critically the organizational culture of the university, that this fragmentation does not augur well for the future. It is not simply an issue of addressing the governance model. As you all know, from time to time, the Chancellor has engaged the wider university stakeholder community in adjusting the stakeholder model to accommodate reforms in the governance architecture. But there is a belief that something more fundamental is at stake here, that the very spirit, the ethos, and the culture of what it is to be a member of the university community, that is being devalued by virtue of the fragmentation in the governance model and in the day-to-day management of the affairs of the institution. The stakeholders have indicated that they are concerned about this. The students on the inside of our faculties have expressed their own concerns. And there is a growing belief that with the growth of the 3 landed campuses and the open campuses, and they're coming into maturity, that the system of division in the use of resources and the allocation of those scarce resources and the formulation of policies for the governance of those resources and ensuring that faculty, administrators, and students enjoy the full blessings of the university environment, that we are not as efficient as we ought to be. The years ahead are going to be very testing because we are involved in a very specific and peculiar circumstance. The vast majority of the countries that are contributing to the financing of our university are now officially classified as in a recessionary economic circumstance. This is a new, unique development. The implication, therefore, is that the university has to become intensely concerned with how our resources are being used. The fragmentary model of university governance is already seen as a system that does not, in fact, represent that efficiency in the way that we would wish. So therefore, it has to be addressed. I, of course, am a part of the earlier model of the more integrated institution, and I have seen how the reform that has brought greater autonomy and independence to each part of the university has had its positive effects. So let it be known that we are aware of the positive aspects of the reforms. But the question before us, therefore, is whether the downside, the negatives, so to speak, are currently outweighing the positives. We have to go into the regional market to engage in the recruitment of students. It is not reasonable that our 4 campuses ought to be competing in jurisdictions for the same body of students. It is not acceptable that our 4 campuses are going out into the global world competing for resources, not only financial but also students and faculty, when in fact it is one university. It is not acceptable that the wider world should be seeing the UWI not as one brand, one identity, one world, but as separate and competing institutions. This fragmentation, therefore, is not simply a matter of what obtains within the governance model in relation to registries, bursaries, faculties, and other institutions. It is also about the brand of UWI as we express our legacy into the wider world, and as we go into that world, into that global space, to make a greater footprint to secure our long-term interests. But critically, as we move to transform and to globalize this university in the next 5 years, it is going to be important that we strengthen the internal structures of this university, increase the coherence of the institution, and go into the wider world with one voice and one identity. At the end of this exercise, we have to emerge with a clear philosophy that this is one university, it is one institution, it's a unified intellectual force, it is here to serve Caribbean peoples, and we must do this in the most efficient and practical way. I am looking forward to being a part of the exercise myself. We are going to council in April, and it would be wonderful if an indicative report, a preliminary expression of findings would be available for council. But at the same time, I do not wish to hurry you along simply because this is going to be one of the most important exercises in the early 21st century of this university. So thank you very much for your commitment to serve and to participate, and go with clarity and with certainty. I thank you very much indeed.